Hello my friends, and welcome back to the rabbit hole, and welcome to a video that is indeed going to be exactly what you saw in the title. However, as you all know, this is mostly a skincare channel, so I thought we would have that conversation while I do my AM skincare routine today. If you saw my Instagram post, you may know we are doing Manyo for the month of June, and I'm thinking it might be fun for you to kind of see what's going on, even though I'm not really going to review these products today because we're going to do a big brand review at the end of the month. But I do really quickly want to tell you a few things in case you missed the Instagram post. So I had purchased the Galak Whitening Vita Serum. Whitening means brightening in Korean skincare, by the way, and I didn't realize it until I got it in, but it does have some essential oil ingredients. I'm not opposed to essential oils, but I do have sensitive skin. I do have acne. You can see it on my face right now. I always break out when I travel. So I've already got to deal with the breakout first. I just don't want to risk it any further, so I've decided I'm just going to go ahead and use this all over my décolleté instead, and we're going to stick with the Klairs freshly juiced vitamin charging serum. I know I've already mentioned this on the channel, but we're just going to go ahead and stick with it for a little longer, and I guess we'll put this one in some kind of a K-Beauty speed reviews video. I'm not mad about this. To be honest with you, I do prefer to know the percentage of my vitamin C, and you do know it with the Klairs product. Because I have acne and I'm currently dealing with an especially angry pimple, we're going to use the I Do Care Fix My Zit, which has 0.55% salicylic acid. It's a spot treatment. I'm going to use it only where I'm breaking out. And then one more thing, and we actually might talk about this in today's video. I bought the tinted Elta MD UV Clear Broad Spectrum SPF 46. I got this in one of those free gift Fridays I've talked about. We're going to try this on today, see how this goes. I'm really excited to finally try this. But yes, also it is Pride Month, and I'm finally making a video that honestly I've wanted to do for a long time. Today I'm going to talk about what it's like to be the A in LGBTQIA. Surprise, possibly for some of you. Some of you probably do know this as I've mentioned it in passing, but again, this is mostly a skincare channel, so I haven't really talked all that much about this. Now, there are a few things I want to say before I get into this video. In general, this channel, it's not made for kids, it's about skincare, but I do always try to keep in mind that you never really know who's watching your videos on YouTube, which is the exact reason I don't swear on this channel. You just never know. You never know if a kid is stumbling upon your videos. So in general, the channel is more family-friendly, I would say, but today's video is going to deal with more adult topics. So I'm starting my routine just with some toner this morning, the Bifida Biome Ampoule toner, and I also wanted to start with where I think is the most appropriate in explaining, discovering that I was the A, which means I have to take you back to about, I think, 9th or 10th grade. I have this very specific memory with a friend. I bet she doesn't remember this. It's one of those things that it's probably so insignificant for other people, but it's one of those really significant moments in my life. Do you have those? Most people would not think this is a big deal. It meant something to me. So anyway, I was with my friend, and my friend was best described as, this was the early 2000s, so everybody called her boy crazy. I don't know if that's still the phrasing that is used to describe that now. Is there new lingo? But yeah, she was kind of like a Geiger counter around guys. A Geiger counter? No, I am going with that. She would start ticking in the presence of guys. We didn't even realize that a guy had entered the room, but she did. So we were on the school bus, and there was this guy on the street outside of the bus, and she just starts going, oh my gosh, look at that guy. Alice, look at that guy. Do you see him? Oh my gosh, he's so hot. And again, this is 9th or 10th grade. At this point, I had just had enough of this. I'd had enough of being so thoroughly confused every time somebody said something like this. So I lean into her and I say, what is it that you're experiencing? Please explain this, because I see a guy, but I don't understand the enthusiasm over it. And bless her heart, she tried to explain it to me. She said to me, Well, so you feel your heart start beating really fast, and then you just kind of feel your body is just kind of tingles. Now I'm trying to follow, I'm looking at her, I'm looking at him, and it's just not, the dots are not connecting for me. And it was really in this moment where I realized I might be a little different. I'm going to put the Dear Claire's vitamin C all over my face, but not as much on the pimple that I'm dealing with. We'll get to that later. So, as I mentioned before, it is a fully clear vitamin C derivative. So listen, that night I went home, I went on the internet, and I WebMD'd myself. I had to figure it out. At this point, I'm 14 years old. All of my friends have been experiencing this transformation into a Geiger counter, and I am not. What is wrong with me? And it was through the internet that I found out there's something that exists called asexuality. And it was such a relief to have an explanation for why I wasn't experiencing the same things as my peers. But I still, to this day, cannot look at somebody and understand what words like hot and sexy mean. And guess what? That's okay. That's totally okay. A little bit of this Fix My Zit. We're just gonna pop that right there. Oof. What an angry one. I know some of you might be a little confused at this point because you might know about my partner, so I'll explain that next. Jumping into my college years, I realized that asexuality is actually a spectrum. At one end, you have people that are completely aromantic, asexual, and on the other end, you have people that are halfway there. We use the word demi here, and that actually turns out to be an even better description for me, because it turns out that I actually am fully capable of understanding what my little friend was going through, but only in very specific circumstances. I have to have known somebody for a very long time. I have to know that they are fully okay with it. It's a lot that happens. So that I've actually had a grand total in my life of 5 relationships ever. Never short term, always long term. And yes, with men and women, because another fun part to this is that not only is asexuality an entire spectrum, but you can also be LGBTQI and on the A spectrum. Or you can be straight, or you can have absolutely no interest in sexuality at all. It all fits onto that spectrum. One thing that I think about a lot is that it's so interesting, now going back to my high school years, when I figured this out and started telling people, I really started making a lot of friends with the LG and Bs at my school. It's kind of funny. I feel like the early 2000s, we didn't really have as good of an understanding of LGBTQIA. I don't even think that acronym existed yet. And yet, even then, we knew that we were all a little different in this kind of related sense, and so we all got along. I'm using the Bifidobiome Concentrate Eye Cream next. It seems to be a mid-weight eye cream. This is one of the newer products to me. So, yes, in conclusion, what I am is technically demi, I guess pan. Alright, so if you notice I'm talking a little bit more quickly in the second half of this video, my apologies. I could not make it through the morning without coffee. It had to happen. And honestly, I'm almost done with my skincare routine. I just have the Bifidobiome cream left, and then we're going to finish with the sunscreen. However, I feel like I'm done kind of talking about myself. I don't know if I feel like it's that interesting. This is why I don't ever talk about it on this channel, is it just doesn't feel like a big deal. Oh, I did forget to tell you about flirting. I did forget to tell you about that one. So I don't think anybody has ever flirted with me in my whole entire life, but according to my partner, that is not true. According to her, it's really funny because it apparently completely goes over my head. Yeah, you know, these are the things that I just don't understand. I just absolutely don't understand concepts like flirting, one-night stands. That's very confusing to me. You would always have 2 nightstands next to the bed. Okay, but in all truth, there really are some important things that I want to talk about before I close out this video. So you may notice we are now flying the trans flag back there next to the pride flag. I am not a trans person, however, I see what's going on. I see how the trans community is particularly being attacked right now. And while I'm an A or an L or a B, depending on your perspective, I really don't care which of those you classify me as, I still want to talk about what I think is going on with some people's perceptions towards the LGBTQ plus community. Because I think it boils down to 2 assumptions that are problematic. The first assumption seems to be that this is an entire community that is comprised of hypersexual people. I guess I understand where that idea comes from, in that we are basing a portion of our identity on who we're attracted to or how we're attracted to people, just on that entire idea, right? But it is important to recognize that the amount to which somebody displays characteristics of sexuality, that's a spectrum too. It almost is an extension of the ace spectrum that I was talking about, where you have the fully ace people, you have the demi people, and if you keep going, you do have hypersexual people. But again, that's not limited to the letters nor to non-straight people. So I think that seeing this community as only based around that being our entire lives, that's really problematic, and it really overlooks everything else that we are. And it feels like the other assumption is that we are amoral, which is really very offensive, actually, because I would tell you, as somebody who knows a lot of people in this community, especially from New Orleans, great place to live if you are in this community, most people within that community focus so heavily on respecting other people, on concepts like consent, on right and wrong. We absolutely know the difference between right and wrong. And I think that's the scariest element of this for me, is that it seems there are some people who are pushing this narrative that we somehow don't know this. We do, and 100%, I can promise you, every person I know in the LGBT community is respectful towards laws, towards other people, towards children. See, thinking of entire groups of people as having something morally wrong with them has not gone well in terms of history, has it? I don't think anyone wants to live through the Middle Ages or other phases of history again, so it is a really, really dangerous mindset. Now, I don't want to lie to myself in this sense. I tend to be an idealist who thinks that most people are good by default, most people know what is right and what is wrong. So I don't want to deny that there could still be bad people who are LGBT. There probably are. But in the same way that you wouldn't take another group of people and assume that just because there is one bad person in that group, everybody in that group is bad, it's really important to not do the same thing with LGBT people. For example here, let's imagine that there is a scientist who robs a bank. Do you now believe that every scientist is going to rob a bank? No, of course not. That would be ridiculous. That would be ridiculous. Nobody would do that, and it should be the same thing for LGBT plus people. Let me close out this video with a true story for you all, because I know that most of you watching this video do know quite well about my partner, but here's a funny thing. Most people don't know it. Fun fact, when people meet Ara and myself, I would say at least 90% of the time, we get asked if we are sisters. Yeah, that's one to take to Twitter. I've seen all of these people on Twitter say things like, I can always tell an LGBT plus person. Well, you can't. You absolutely can't, because most of us are minding our own business. We live our lives. Our identity is more than just being LGBT. We are doctors, lawyers, scientists, parents, and you would not know that we are part of this community. It's just a part of our identity. And that's it. That's what I wanted to share in today's video. I hope it kind of demystifies the topic a bit, hopefully. I gotta say, this Elta MD sunscreen It is, can you see it's a little bit too deep for my skin tone? That's always the problem with these tinted sunscreens, but I do like that it's an SPF of 46. I do like that it's a blend of a zinc oxide as well as octinoxate. Both of those filters work really well for me, but I have got to say, this is a $43 sunscreen at retail, and it reminds me so much of the Dermatology Universal Tinted Moisturizer, SPF 46. I'll see if I can find the filter percentages of the Dermatology. This one, the Elta MD, is zinc oxide 9%, octinoxate 7.5%. We'll see how close the Dermatology is, but I do know the Dermatology costs less. And it's so funny because I've heard so many people rave and rave about this, and now that I'm trying it, I'm over here going, yeah, but the Dermatology is practically the same thing. A little bit of a better tint for me, actually. And my friends, that brings us to the end of this video. I did want to tell you that for the next couple of months, I'm hoping to do some more sunscreen comparisons. And just in doing this video today, I am so tempted to do a direct comparison of this up against the Dermatology. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in, or please feel free to comment any other sunscreens you would like to see directly compared and contrasted. But I would love to do more sunscreen videos, especially focusing on comparing them. I love doing that, so let me know any recs, any requests. And that's it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all next time.